Words. Thank you. Welcome, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that song by Eddie Watkins Jr., We Come Together. And it's a great pleasure to be here today. We have a special speaker who will be introduced later. He's also a musician, and I noticed that our dear Jim is out to support him and our own Unity community, as he often is. Whoops. We welcome everybody to Unity of London. As you know, we are an inclusive, inviting, welcoming community. And we share that with all the unities all over the world. And our theme for the month of January is faith. And it's so essential, as we all know. Faith to walk the walk of love and kindness, of love and compassion for one another. Here at London, we celebrate abundance of spirit, abundance of talent, abundance of sharing. And we are open to new ideas. And when we've been called New Thought Spiritual Group, that's why. We are open to new ideas. We provide mutual support to each other, and that is ongoing. We see it all the time, and it's such a joy. And we are in the process of transforming every day, evolving peace. We share the 5 principles, and in the Pizza and Principles today, we'll be talking more about that. I invite you to share with me, if you feel comfortable, our words. God is all good and active in everything, everywhere. I am naturally good because God's divinity is within me and in everyone. I create my experiences by what I choose to think and what I feel and believe. Through affirmative prayer and meditation, I connect with God to bring out the good in my life. I do my best by living the truth I know. I make a difference. And if that's all we ever said, and then it would be the end of the service, and I said, goodbye, end of service, that would probably be enough. But of course, I won't do that. When we practice being the change, that's pick up the knife that the waiter dropped in the restaurant. That's something small, and it's appreciated. Give a smile to somebody that you've never met before. Give someone a pat on the shoulder. Here at Unity, we give so many hugs. It's like a storehouse for hugs for the rest of the week. Whatever you choose to share, doing it out of a spirit of love is what we're all about. And as we move with passion and faith and love, we change the world for the better. We coexist. We create an atmosphere where we can learn together, share together, exchange ideas. And we provide education for spiritual seekers in all walks of life. And now we welcome our speaker, but also musician, Bernie Gilmore. Just so you know, he's a well-acclaimed speaker, author, wrote the book Heart of Africa, and this will all be shared when Kate Shield stands up as platform assistant. He's here because he's credible and believable. Is that enough, Bernie? Welcome to Bernie.
Sorry about that. All right, thanks, Pauline. And yeah, it's great to be here. And boy, that opening song, I thought, wow, this place rocks already. So thanks for the invitation to come and be here. It's a pleasure to do this. If you think back to the time when you did something absolutely out of this world, that your experience blew anything away that ever happened to you, I don't know, it could have been maybe the birth of your first child, or the birth of other children, or something that just put you on a plateau. This experience that I'm going to talk to you about did that for me and continues to do it. Pauline said the theme today is faith, and the whole story has to do with faith. It's faith that we were going to make a difference when we went overseas to Ethiopia. And I was so amazed and inspired, and continue to be so, by the people that we work with, these African people, these Ethiopians. Imagine living with nothing because of a huge famine and drought, and then having the faith to carry on and to be able to give to one another. I learned so much by this experience. I learned so much about faith and so much about humility. Okay, I think if our technician is all set, we'll get rolling here. Lorraine, if you can start the slides, we're all set. I didn't realize that. Somehow I got this mixed up. Somehow. Okay, I just thought I was doing the presentation, but if you'd like me to do a little bit of music, I can do that. Okay, so when I was doing this work in Ethiopia, I ran into a woman by the name of Doreen Wicks, and she was the wife of Ben Wicks, the cartoonist. And I'm going to ask Jim for a little bit of help here. Jim, if you would go into my guitar case and into the pocket in the front, the big one, and get my capo, that would be beautiful. So when I was doing this work overseas, I ran into Doreen. She was sending supplies. Perfect, yep. She was sending supplies to Ethiopia. And she had a book. She had a book on a coffee table. And it was called Dear World. And I said, what is this about? And she and her husband had a project across Canada to ask children, what would you do to make the world right? She asked kids all over Canada. These were school-age kids. And so they sent in their responses. They wrote poetry. They did drawings. And what resulted was this beautiful book called Dear World. So I said, somebody who likes to write songs, that there has to be a song there. So this is my song, Dear World, based on what the kids all across Canada had said to the question, what would you do to make the world right? What would I do to make the world right? Dear world, what would I do to make the world right? I would stop all the wars, and people with sores would have all the band-aids they need. I would stop all the starving and go with the growing and share when the harvest was here. Dear world, what would I do to make the world right? If countries had problems they couldn't resolve, I'd tell them to send them to me. I'd plan a convention and take time to mention how loving each person should be. This is your part. Dear world, what would I do to make the world right? If I ruled the world from my place on the hill, I'd cancel all sickness and hate. I'd send those who fight back into the night and tell them they just had to wait. Dear world, what would I do to make the world right? Dear world, what would I do to make the world right? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bernie. And Bernie will be returning. You notice our beautiful wooden carved chest on the table, and those who come here regularly know that that is to accommodate any affirmations you may have, prayers for those you love. All you have to do is put in the name of the person, and Divine Presence knows all that's in your heart. And those are collected every week faithfully by our dear Dawn Briglio, one of our prayer chaplains. Then she sends all the names to us, prayer chaplains. We pray over them, and then they go on to silent unity. I invite you now, if you feel comfortable, to close your eyes. By the way, today our prayer chaplain will be Dawn here in the building and Wilda online. If you want to pray with Wilda, you just let Lorraine know. So in our moment of prayer right now, we just ground ourselves. We release any distractions, any annoyances, any uncomfortable surprises. We relax, enjoying the harmony of divine presence that is with us always. That loving, calm interior that allows us to meet the daily challenges of life. And today we hold in prayer all those who are cold, homeless, hungry, or lost. We affirm the kindness and the caring of all support workers, the kindness and caring of educators, leaders, and people like us who do our best each day to create a kinder, more loving life. I invite you to take a moment now just to whisper the names of those close to your heart. We'll also include in our prayers today all those who have suffered a recent loss, that they may feel comforted. For these and for all of our prayers, we say Amen. And now it's my pleasure to introduce someone who will read the daily word and give a prepared introduction for Bernie Gilmore. Kate Shiel.
Good morning. From the Daily Word, the theme for today is World Peace. As I affirm peace, I help create a peaceful world. In 1964, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "It is not enough to say we must not wage war. It is necessary to love peace and sacrifice for it. We must concentrate not merely on the negative expulsion of war, but the positive affirmation of peace." Of course, I will work toward creating the kind of world I wish to see, investing my effort and energy to ending conflict, discrimination, and other kinds of negativity. But I also put my energy into creating harmony, cooperation, opportunity, and other positive outcomes. Today, I affirm that peace is dawning all over the world, blessing all people with warm feelings of cooperation and togetherness. I affirm peace is here, even as I strive to create it. And from 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 23, "May the God of peace himself sanctify you entirely, and may your spirit and soul and body be kept sound." This morning we have a great speaker and singer, and I'm going to introduce him. Bernie Gilmore volunteered with the Kinsman African Medical Relief during the Ethiopian famine of the late 1980s and has worked subsequently as their field director for a 12-year period. He led projects in integrated rural development in Africa, and in 2001 was awarded the Louis Perenbam Award for Excellence in International Development. Bernie has continued his grassroots work in Africa with an elementary school in Ethiopia, the Pan-African International Academy, and with St. Kizito Church in rural Uganda. Please help me welcome Bernie Gilmore.
Thank you, Kate. Thanks, everyone. So, did you hear the news today? Did you turn your heads and hearts this way, or did you look away? Black people left in drought, there wasn't any doubt. Leaving them alone meant they'd die again. But that's no way, no. On a given day in the fall of 1984, if you turned on your television sets, you thought something had gone wrong with the screen. It looked what we called fuzzy back then, and if you turned the right dials, then it usually cleared. Something had gone wrong, yes, but not with the screen. As you look closer, you could see a panorama view of thousands of people barely walking. And the fuzziness was caused by an enormous dust cloud in the parched Ethiopian countryside, as thousands of starving people searched for food. That year, there were some 8 million people at risk of dying from starvation in Ethiopia alone. In Canada, the evening news was on. With supper, my plate was full. People reaching out, not knowing if a drought would steal another meal, would take so long to heal. Did you hear the news today? Millions of people around the world heard the news, but the first to respond were musicians from England. And in Wembley Stadium, a huge fundraising concert called Live Aid connected 1.9 billion people via satellite. And in Canada, musicians jumped on board with their own fundraising called Tears Are Not Enough. Millions of dollars were raised, and the awareness of the Ethiopian famine. In London, Ontario, nurses and doctors heard the news, and they decided they wanted to do more than just raise funds for Ethiopia. So they got leave of absences from work, and they filled a whole bunch of green army duffel bags with medical supplies, and off they went to Ethiopia. It was called Camp London, and it was in the late 80s. And this is the formidable team here, and you're saying, why raincoats when you're going to drought-stricken Ethiopia? That's because the rains had come, and with it signs of hope. Let the wind blow, let the rain come down. May we all be free from harm, free to watch as the clouds rush by, with our babies asleep in our arms. Arriving in Ethiopia was a shock. All of a sudden we were in front of people who had lost everything, their homes, their families, their livestock. We fed the hungry, and for those who were severely malnourished, we had an intensive feeding station. We had an operating room like a MASH unit here, consisting of army cots lashed together and a gas generator out back. And I feel tied to every mother who is hunger in her eyes, who must comfort when there's not enough to eat. And tell me, where has all the plenty gone? And tell me, what in the world is more important than these? Let the wind blow, let the rain come down. For me, the whole experience was completely overwhelming. Never been to Africa before in my life. Minutes would go by and I would have to jump in a Toyota Land Cruiser and drive up the side of a mountain bringing families back to their villages. There were times when we had to go and find pockets of starving people, and we took a helicopter provided by Canada Lift Air. Jump in the helicopter and travel all around the Ethiopian Rift Valley. And then there was living in the camp itself with the nurses and the doctors. It was taking a shower from a gravity-fed PVC pipe, water heated up by the sun, disinfecting a 2-hole latrine with a spray gun, sleeping on army cots padded by intravenous solutions to make the Ethiopian waterbed, driving up the side of a mountain with no guardrails, and watching people come into our camp completely in need of so much help and support. Working shoulder to shoulder with like-minded people from all over the world was an experience of a lifetime. Watching people come in barely able to walk, and then because we had the right medications, able to send them home. Watching a 15-year-old girl come into our camp in a coma, dying from a deadly pit viper snake bite. And because we had anti-venom, we were able to shoot this into her. And within hours, she got up and walked back to her village. Totally, totally inspiring, this kind of work. And through it all, people were so thankful of any little thing that we did. The gratitude that we experienced was overwhelming. This is what we heard. Thank you for your coming here. Thank you for your time. I see you've left a loving home. I hope you've come in time. Thank you for your risking your precious lives for us. And thank the people in your land for making all this fuss. Singaledi feta am a secondella. I'll never forget the evening when the village elders came across to the camp and took us each one by one, arm in arm, hand in hand, and thanked us for saving the lives of their children, for bringing clothes, for bringing food, for giving back the Ethiopians their dignity. This is what Kurt Jensen of the United Nations said of the Ethiopian famine relief. Singaledi feta am a second love. After spending 4.5 months in that environment, I returned home. But I never left the sights, the sounds, the smells, the incredible feeling of making a difference in the lives of so many people. And trying to integrate back into my own Canadian way of life was not easy. I tried to figure out, how come I have so much and so many people around the world have so little? I walk into a grocery store and see banks of breakfast cereal and realize all I need is a bowl of porridge. So it was a complete shock, to come back to Canada. But soon, the Kinsman African Medical Relief came to me and asked me if I would go back and spend a full year and build a permanent health station. And that was a tough decision to make because I had a wife and a 3-year-old son. And everybody thought we were crazy, including me mum. But we figured out, after a lot of discussion, that the experience that we would give ourselves and our son would be worth the risk. So off we went. We spent a year in Ethiopia, lived in a mud-walled hut, used a VIP latrine, ventilation improved pit, and built structures like this and designed programs that would bring basic health teaching to the children of the villages. And one of my greatest joys was having our son Kevin spend time with us and trying to teach him some of the values like that of sharing. And watch him mingle with all the kids, in the Ethiopian village. And listening to this guy pick up the language. He picked it up a lot quicker than we did. He rambled around, and here he is. He's saying Bazuwaha, lots of water, lots of water. And on one occasion, he invited one of his best buddies, Toiba, the little girl next to him, into our hut to view his latest stash of clothes. And in she walked, and within about 5 minutes, out Toiba came, sporting one of Kevin's cleanest, brightest outfits. And she walked out of the hut looking like this. Carried an extra pair of pants under her arm, and the news of Toiba's new duds spread like wildfire. And soon, half the village showed up outside our hut to get outfitted. But that year, it was magical. It was living among people who had nothing. And I had so much less than I have in Canada. I didn't have a house, didn't have a car, didn't have a whole bunch of junk to worry about. And it was so freeing. And I watched the Ethiopians in their simple way of life. She was beautiful in her dress from ancient Africa, smiling every morning like the sun. She sang her song, it echoed through the village. She sang so sweet. And what was so unique about that year was that we were able to connect a bunch of friends back in London with our new friends in Ethiopia. And the concept was very simple. Just create a conversation among people who had some resources and those who had a lot less. We came from far away to help her people, asking our new partners what they need. They said, help us to bring back the forest, cover the mountains with a eucalyptus tree. So for the next 10 years, we had a massive reforestation project in Ethiopia. It was in London called Future Forest of London. And we terraced the hillsides, reforested the flatlands, and watched scenes like this where women, for the first time ever in Ethiopia, were plowing the land. Projects reserved only for men. Very, very strong women and completely brand new initiatives. They had a vegetable garden, and every morning they would work for 2 or 3 hours in the garden, and then work on the water pump. So again, this is a new project for them. They had a grinding mill, first time ever. Ladies became entrepreneurs. This is Amanat. She was 15 years old at the time. She worked in the garden in the morning, walked 5 kilometers down the road to go to school. And on my, my latest visit to Ethiopia, I sought her out. And here she is in the middle. She's a woman with 3 children and the best vegetable garden in all of the Bete Valley. This is Shoameni. He was a volunteer with Future Forest, and we gave him a bunch of seedlings to start his own forest. And the entrepreneur that he was sat back, and all you have to do is watch the rains come when they do, and because the ground is so fertile, he grew a forest just like this, and he sold us back the wood we gave him for free for our projects. And the latest project was called the Pan-African International Academy. And it was a school that was started by Londoners and headed up by an Ethiopian here in the city. And we took children from the street, sitting on the side of the street with calloused and dusty feet. She hides behind her worn-out, tattered dress. It's a fragile, precious life, just hanging by a thread. Without a smile, it seems so meaningless. Bad, no time for regrets. Can you see your future on the ride? The school began as a daycare with 60 kids, and after 6 years, there were 800 kids that were registered in this little school. And there's Emmabet graduating into grade 1. Her mom showed up with flowers, and there she got her famous mortarboard. Emmabet, no time for regrets. Can you see your future on the rise? Emmabet, lovely with your smile. Can you learn to dream with open eyes? We finished this project because we were supposed to. We were able to hand over to the villagers themselves all the project, the water pumps, the grinding mills, and all that. And it was so fabulous to see this growth. And when I returned, I found a small city in the village that we had begun. It was completely electrified, had a government-run health station, and a promise of a high school. And there's not a day goes by that I don't think about this work and how it inspired me. I realized that living in Canada, I've never had any wants for good drinking water. I've always had enough food. And I realized that we live in a global connected community. And when we decide to work together, anything's possible. Dreams can be realized. Lives can be changed. My life was changed by the work, and I continue to be uplifted every time I meet a refugee or an immigrant at the amazing resilience and command that these people have over their lives. I also realize as much as I gave, and people said, wow, you know, you gave so much, you did so much, but you know, the heroes are the Ethiopians, the people who have nothing. And the faith that they have is truly inspiring. Thought I'd be the one to make a difference. Thought I'd be the one to bring her hope. But somehow, in the giving, there's receiving. That's what I know. Heart of Africa, land of burning sun, rivers cooling as they reach the sea. Heart of Africa, sky of Southern Cross, rivers cooling as they reach the sea. Heart of Africa, sky of Southern Cross, mountains covered with the eucalyptus tree. Mountains covered with the eucalyptus tree. Thank you.
And how in the world does someone sufficiently thank Bernie? Not just for his message today, but for inspiring us to stretch. I have heard Bernie before. I've heard his message and I've read his book. But each time it revives in me a recognition of how much we can all still do. Bernie, your message touched hearts. We rarely give standing ovations to our speakers, but yours was so well deserved. And I thank you on behalf of everyone here, not only for your message, but for your book, for the life you shared, and for the amazingly poignant photos of all of the children that you met. And there are probably way more. Thank you. Well, my monitor has gone black, so. Lorraine, I don't know if that means another song from Bernie. No, it doesn't. All right. Okay. Here at Unity, we count on, as every spiritual church and community does, donations to pay for the bills, to keep the heat, the lights. But we also count on you sharing of your talents and your time. Kate, our dear Kate, and Ron Gill will now come by just to collect any donations you may have. Those are all gratefully received, and they represent giving back to the spiritual center that feeds you. I invite you, while we await the return of Ron and Kate to the front, just to keep in your heart right now the needs of all those who have so little. Those in our own city, those in our country, but absolutely those in other countries, countries that are war-torn. And to be generous, not just here at Unity, but as much as you can outside with other groups. And we now join in our prayer. Divine love flowing through me blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. We do have several announcements. And these are thanks to Lorraine, who puts these together every week. So these are our list of some of the donations we were collecting for the food bank, as you know. There were baskets at the back. And that just is a demonstration of what was collected. We do have a sacred circle every Sunday, thanks to Chuck's initiation. It begins at 12 and runs till 1. And today they will be sharing the sanctuary with Pizza and Principles. So we'll be at the back, they'll be up here. And the sacred circle is a chance for you to share any spiritual reflections on your own journey. Everything that's said in the sacred circle stays there. So it's confidential. Usually there are anywhere between 6 and 12 people. And that is a blessing for everyone who partakes. Pizza and principles today, all are welcome, but I have only created 5 booklets. So if you decide in the spur of the moment you wish to attend, that's great. You're welcome as a refresher. I've revised the booklet, and it is an opportunity to learn more about the foundations of unity. And what do we stand for, and how do we put that into practice? So that's today between 12 and 2. And dear Dawn, I don't know if she's in the room right now. Oh, she is. She's way in the back. Dawn was so excited about this because she saw the name pizza. And she said, I'll bake the pizza. So not only did she bake pizza, but she brought the tablecloth, the serviettes, the wooden board, so that's all at the back of the room. And I thank Dawn for that. This is exciting. On January 28th, we're having another dinner, and followed by, hopefully all of you who come for dinner will stay for Jim's concert. So the dinner begins at 6, runs till 7, and we'll be highlighting chili recipes. So if you have a great chili recipe, Lorraine already took the spot for vegan, but if you have other chili recipes or you want to bring garlic bread, salads, or desserts to volunteer, they would be very welcome. And the last time we had a dinner followed by Jim's concert, it was very well attended. And what better in the winter than chili? And it's $15 a person for the dinner, plus $10 for the concert. So $25 a person. What a great investment in your stomach and in your heart, I guess. There's a sign-up sheet in the back if you want to help. And on January 30th, this was initiated by Teresa Rutten. She came first to me, then she went to Renee, and she may have approached other people, saying, why don't we do something on Professional Development Day? We have a building right here. There's an ice rink that's usually set up across the street in the park, and it's a day off for children. Why don't we invite children and their parents to come in and play cards maybe, or play a few games, have some snacks and hot chocolate? So we decided to do that, and we welcome anybody who loves children to be there. Just to be there and be with the children and enjoy time with them. So bring your own grandchildren if they have the day off, or your neighbor children. And it is just a reminder that this building is not just for sacred service for an hour or so on Sunday. This is a building for our community. And I'm so grateful to Teresa for suggesting this. At first I said to her, ah. Well, I didn't say it out loud, but in my head. I thought, yes, I looked after children as a teacher in the classroom, but my police check has long since evaporated. Renee has a recent police check. And then Teresa said, well, maybe grades 7 and 8 could look after them. I thought, no, I don't think so. We need some adults. We need you. So please feel invited to support this. And now, one of my very favorite prayers from James Dillett Freeman. I invite you to join. The light of God surrounds me. I am the light. The love of God enfolds me. I am the love. The power of God protects me. I am the power. The presence of God watches over me. I am the presence. Wherever I am, God is, and all is well. And in unity, yay, God. And now we join together for our peace song. And if you feel comfortable, we hold hands. If not, just... Now, it says let's chat, but if you want to have a one-to-one chat, you can do that in the fellowship. If you want to come up and ask Bernie any questions or make any comments about his presentation, I invite you to come up now.